everybody. Welcome to ReSounding Wholeness Conversations. Happy Friday. My name is Karen and Rob, and I'm so glad to have you here with us today and my special guest, Melody Lee. Before we get started, I would like to share with you why ReSounding Wholeness Conversations, what is the vision and mission, and why I started these conversations. Just make sure everything is rolling good. Yes, very good. So, the mission says, in a world that idolizes celebrities, gurus, athletes, fashion, the latest trends, technology, media, and more, it is our goal to highlight human beings who are sharing their unique, incredible soul's purpose and service in the world. While they may not have the biggest following, these courageous beings are making an incredible impact in the world, creating energetic ripples that will collectively serve to move mountains and reshape the future of humanity on this planet. No pressure, Melody. We hope to encourage and inspire more people to reconnect with their unique gifts, step into their true soul's calling, take actions to serve humanity, and be a way shower at this pivotal time in history and her story. Welcome, Melody Lee. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Before we start asking you questions and diving deeper into your magic world, which we can see is some of it is behind you in your space, I want to just share that Melody and I have been acquainted with each other for a number of years. I'm going to guess since 2014, 2015-ish. I was starting to do a lot of things with Creative Nashville. We were bumping up with each other, around each other at a very creative time in my life, an exploration time in my life. And I loved Melody's energy. I adored her little girls who are now, teenagers. I so remember that one time out in, I think it was like Franklin, Brentwood area, I had a little show and you and your family came, and I had little itty bitty mini tiny art that one of your daughters was really fascinated with, and it was exciting to see her inspired to make tiny art there for a moment in time. And so we've been connected on Facebook, on social media for all these years. And then in 2020, like, you started popping up on my feed with some incredible new things you were creating. And it was so magical and cool that I was like, and sparkly, let me just say, lots of sparkle, that I had to reach out to you. And I felt that the more I dove into where you were on your journey, I felt like you were an important part of this conversation. And so creativity, art, expression, soul path, and I feel a kindredness with you. So let's get going. Let's start by having you tell me a little bit about your path with art, maybe your life, just the pathway to where you come to this point, wherever you feel moved to share.
Okay.
It's a big span of time.
That's a big span of time. Yeah. Yeah. So when I was younger, I always did art. I was always doodling. That was my hobby. Like, my brother and sister were sports. They did the sports things. I was, okay, go team. I have no idea what you're talking about. I had my doodle book, and, I just wanted to stay in my room and color all the time and draw, or, my thing was colored pencils when I was younger. But so that was how I spent a lot of my time. It was fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of a reserved child. I didn't feel like I had a voice, when I was younger. So in drawing and coloring, I feel like I was allowed to express myself that way. So that's how I expressed myself. Then I had I was a troubled teenager. And I was a troubled young lady for a long time. I ended up finding myself, I stopped doing art when I left high school. I was pregnant early. I started a family and a marriage that ended up being just not a fit for us. We were very young. And so we had a lot of fun, but it just didn't work out. And I didn't do any art then. I had, found myself in another relationship, which was a very toxic relationship. And I found that I actually lost my voice even more during this span of time.
Yes.
And found myself in one of those mentally abusive, emotionally abusive relationships. So I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't have a job. I couldn't own a vehicle. I was very, very, imprisoned. Yeah, I was imprisoned.
Yeah.
And of course, me the whole time, I didn't realize that I was imprisoned because, it was abuse. So it looked very different. But either way, I had no voice, no way of self-expression. And I was there. That relationship lasted, I believe, about 6 years, 7 years. Yeah. And I remember staring out the window of our kitchen and I was looking out, and it was actually going the direction of Nashville, to the city. We lived in Nolensville, and I just looked out, and I felt like my vision just went so far, and there was something out there for me. There was something out there, something else. There was something. I don't know what it was. It was just a feeling that I had. And so it wasn't long after that I left that relationship. And then had a terrible, terrible time after that. So you imagine starting over with 3 kids. No, I hadn't worked in 6 years because didn't want me to work. So I had no car, I had no job, I had no money, I had no employment history. I was in what I felt like was a completely hopeless situation. Like, what have I done? And not only that, but, it was very manipulative and very toxic. My family and I were estranged because of some of the choices. Just there's some stuff there. I won't get into that, but, so, their dad took custody, and the judge awarded him custody because I didn't have money. I had no money to pay for anything. So I definitely could not afford an attorney. I couldn't have a home for them. I didn't even have transportation. Like, it was, and the judge was almost sympathetic. And she was like, I can't give you these children.
Right. And you had lost your voice. So on top of everything, you didn't even have a voice to be able to fight for them. No. To explain why you didn't want them to be in that environment.
No.
Because you believed all the things that they were saying about you.
Yes. It was, I did. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I've done. Like, it was just horrible. Yeah. I had, so during all of that, I mean, that was probably the most painful thing I've ever been through in my life, hands down. And I thought, my game plan was, oh my gosh, I have to turn this around. Yeah. I have no idea how. Yeah. But I have to have my children. This is
Mama Mama Bear says.
Yes, like they can't be there. They can't, like I escaped. Like, I had to get away.
Yes.
They can't be there, And so that was in 2010. So it took me um about a year. My first husband's father took me in. The house
Wow.
was very tiny, so the girls couldn't live there. There wasn't enough bedrooms. So, so anyway, the past 2 years, I spent, I got a job, found a job as a waitress at an IHOP because those were the only people that would hire me. I had no skills. I had no work history. I had no anything. I was like nobody. And so I took it, right? Like, okay, great. I saved up. I got an apartment. So I was on my own. I saved up money to get a car. So now I had, my apartment. It was close to my father-in-law. It was just within walking distance.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking baby steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then from that apartment in Nashville, I didn't want to move my girls. Everything I was doing was to design a life for them. Like I needed to have something good for them.
Yes.
So I didn't want to, they were coming from Williamson County schools. I didn't want to bring them to into the Davidson County school system. Yeah. I just, for some reason that was important to me and I didn't want to do that. So I started dating JL. And he moved in and I had known him since high school. We had been friends, so we had a great friendship. And then we had planned the next year after that, we had planned to move out to Sumner County. We found a house to rent. Mm-hmm. And so we moved out there. And then very shortly after that, we broke up. No, this is not going according to plan. This is total opposite. And one, this is going to really look bad. Like I'm trying to get stable for my kids. What on earth is happening? Yes. It was just, so at that point, I felt like I had wasted so much time and I was pedaling back, backwards. So I went and I got a 1-bedroom apartment. It looked like it was part of a campground. I kid you not. It was very old. Yes. It was like 70s style, everything. My family never came there. I think if they ever did, they would be like, what are you doing? My sister actually probably saw some pictures that I had and she messaged me like, how do you live there? And I'm just like, but when I moved in, I told myself, this is where we're going to get this together. Yes. We're going to figure something out. We're going to I saw this old place as, the dirt that I needed to plant myself. Like, this is where I was going to really get rid of bad habits. Like, because obviously I'd had a habit of choosing relationships that were not good for me and situations that were not good for me. And I was pretty much calling myself out at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you've spent so long being mad at everyone. I was mad at their dad. I was mad at his mother for helping him. I was mad at my family. I was mad at just, my parents. And I was just so angry at everybody else. But this was like, okay, lady, this is a you problem.
And what's the common denominator in all of those relationships?
That's right. That's right. And this is not to say that they weren't in the wrong. However, this girl had a major role in what was happening. I realized that I was the star player. Like I was the one calling the shots. Yes. And I was just like, what is happening? And when we moved to Sumner County, I got a job working at a Cracker Barrel. So it was great. I could work during the day. They let me have off my days off where I had my girls for visits. So that was a non-negotiable. Like I have to have a job where I can be off on
Yeah.
these days because it's the only days that I can see my kids, and this is important. And so I get a job there, and I met some of the I made some of the strangest friendships.
Mm-hmm.
These were friendships that are still in place today, but like when I think about it, it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
They were musicians and artists themselves, and I hadn't been around people like that, I'll
Yeah.
say. At
Yes.
this moment, that's how it felt. It felt like
Yes.
something familiar, but something that I wasn't connected to. And
Yes.
I didn't feel connected to. And I thought, I want to be connected to that. Wait a minute, that sounds familiar. And I was doodling on something one day, and someone said, "Oh, you're an artist." And he said, "That explains a lot." And I was like, wait a minute, what? And but he said, but in a good way. And it made me think, like, I was bothered by it. And then I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I started thinking just about my life
Yes.
and about the decisions that I've made and my rebellious nature. And I just started thinking, what would make him say those things? And so I was just kind of, picking at myself, but something told me, you are an artist. You remember?
Oh.
Did you forget that? You
Mm.
forgot that.
Mm.
Like, and when I felt that, when I thought that, something woke up in me. Like, yeah, I just took a hit. Like, it really was just like a light bulb went off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot. I do have something. I
Yes.
have something.
Yes.
When I was younger, that was my thing. I was the artist of the family. That's why aren't I doing my thing? And
Yes.
when I was, when the kids were little and stuff, I drew for them, and I, colored their alphabet and had their, I did like artsy things for my kids, and I would have them finger paint. So it's always been there, it was always creeping up under the surface everywhere, but I didn't, I, I didn't realize what it was doing for me all that time.
Yes.
And when I stopped doing it, what happened to me?
Yes.
And so I didn't, of course, I didn't have these revelations at this time. I was just like, I got to start painting again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I did. I went to, I don't know, Hobby Lobby. I think it was Hobby Lobby. It's right across the street from me. And I bought an easel, and I bought a ton of paint and a bunch of canvases. And my friend said, "Do you even know what you're doing?" And I was like, "No." He said, "Well, have you taken art class? Did you go to college?" I was like, "No, I had what? No, no." And he was like, "Well, you should go to art school." And I'm like, "I don't have time to go to art school.
Right. Time to go to art school. I have
I
to do
don't
art
have,
now.
I can't go to art school,
Right.
but I'm going to
Yeah.
do art
Yeah.
because I feel like that's what I'm going to do." And I was like, and I just thought, I don't know anything about art. I went to the library and I bought so many books
Yes.
on art. I
Yeah.
didn't read a single one of them, but I bought them. But I borrowed them.
You borrowed them.
And I had them spread out on my living room floor that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my canvas, and I had all of these art supplies. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know what we're about to do, but this is exciting and it feels good.
Yes.
And so I painted,
Mm-hmm.
and I painted. And I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't even know what I was going to paint. I didn't like set something in front of me
Right.
and like try to paint it. I just was like, okay, let's put this color here and we'll see where this goes. And it was almost like I wasn't even present when I was doing this because it was just happening so just
Effortlessly.
effortlessly.
Just fun effort. Yes.
Yeah. Well, at the end of this painting session, it was an image. It ended up being an image of a woman laid back like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, look at her. Said she's falling. And I'm like, ooh, I'm falling. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like she was falling into something good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ooh, I'm falling into something good.
Good.
Like it just, it immediately was a message to me.
Yes.
I could see what was inside.
Yes.
I was able to see my voice.
Mm.
Like and then I was like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop after that.
Yes.
I just kept, I just couldn't stop. It just kept. And the more I painted, the more I learned about myself uh, in very strange ways. Like life was starting to get so weird and wonderful.
Yeah.
Like it was, strange happenings after strange happenings after strange happenings. People were coming into my life that were, we had these incredible connections,
Mm-hmm.
and my life started expanding. My circle of friendships changed, and they added value to my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I was adding value to theirs. And I believe that it's all because I followed that thing that said, hey, you want to do this.
You reconnected with your childlike wonder.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning about the idea of following your soul's path is when you tap into that, you become a magnet of incredible things and incredible scenarios and opportunity when you allow yourself to go in.
Yes.
But you had to go through a lot of darkness and
Yeah.
challenge and pain
Yeah.
to even get to the point where you're in this 70s old apartment going,
Oh yeah.
this is it, this is the darkness, this is my hole
Hmm.
that
For sure.
I have to find find my way out of.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So then you started painting again, you started drawing other people to you, and so what happened next? Like, how did you get to the place where you got your children
Well, that's oh man. Um,
as it
so
relates to you unfolding? Like, you don't have to go again into all the
yes,
details, but there's something there.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go this way. Well, I had reached a point where, I then understood that I was on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Once all these wonderful things started happening, I couldn't help but realize, like, this is on purpose. This is intentional. When I realized that I had power in that
Mm-hmm.
way, like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, I am in charge, which means I can change. I can change the course of my life. I can change things. I can move,
You can paint. You
move.
can paint over mistakes,
Yeah.
and you can put new
Yeah.
color on and make
Yes.
it look different.
Yes. And if
Yes.
you don't like it, yeah, you could cover it up and start again.
Over.
And yeah. Um, so as I'm doing that, I'm realizing, like, this is a journey. This
Mm.
is definitely, you know, and so I became more purposeful in that. I started studying a little bit more about energy and things like that. And I was becoming um, knowledgeable in ways that my mind was expanding.
Yes.
So, I bought a bunch of books and, people would be like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, I'm studying quantum physics. What are you doing? Like, I want to know things. Like, was just doing so many things. Right. And
Yes.
I was in a period of, like, knowledge hunger. And so I did that for a while. And then I started realizing that I was, you know, there were, like, stages. Like, I would learn something about life
Mm-hmm.
and then I would apply it, and then I would feel it. And then I would learn something else and then I would apply it, and then I would just feel it, and I just kind of was able to watch myself go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I got to, and I felt good. I felt like I owned my life now. And once I felt like that, I felt like I could forgive. Because I forgave myself. I went through a period where I had to forgive myself for everything. Um,
Because
and
we
so,
are the ones who lose ourselves.
yeah,
I mean, granted, when we're children, we put up barriers and protection on purpose in a good way, but we don't realize that all of the protection things as adults, we continue to carry the protections
yeah, when you could have took it off,
when we
you
could
could
have
have,
taken it off.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
take it off when you're ready, you
Yeah.
know, um, or sometimes it's just, taken off. So yeah, I was able to take off the armor. And
Yeah.
so I realized this actually when I'll share this really quickly. I used to carry knives on me. I carried knives in my boots. I always wore boots. I kept them in my boots, in my jean pockets, in my bra. So sometimes we're dating, and
Yeah.
wow, you're full of knives. And I'm like, yeah, well, you might try to, I don't know who you are,
Right. Right.
just having that mindset, like I have to protect myself,
Yes.
just constantly having to protect myself. So, but, so when I was able to take that protection off, I forgave myself. I could forgive other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of forgiveness to pass around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I got, my family and I got back in touch. My sister kind of initiated that, and I wasn't gonna, force my family. I was kind of, things are where they are for a reason. Everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm good. I don't have any, I don't feel anything for any. I think that's a lot of it. I didn't carry around that energy anymore. I
Yes.
didn't have time to hate or time to be angry,
Yes.
or time was too valuable for me to give it to that. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that.
Yes.
When I felt like when I was doing that, I was getting the same thing back. So if I wanted it to stop coming towards me, I had to stop dishing it out.
Yes.
Right. So, my family and I reconnected, and that was great. And they could, see my daughters and my son, and that was nice. And I was just, with their dad, I was in a place of, um, you know, because at this point I still can't get my children back, right? I've tried, but I'm still living in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
And
All right.
I wasn't able to prove stability because I had moved from Nashville to Hendersonville back to a 1-bedroom apartment, and, totally derailed everything.
Yes.
So I still couldn't, there still wasn't enough there for a judge. And I wasn't making, the kind of money where I could afford an attorney. They're very, very expensive. So especially for, family stuff. Um, but so something happened actually. So I thought I had an opportunity to go get them back. And I won't get really specific, but I went to an attorney and I was like, look, this is what just, I was really excited too. I was like, okay, here's our chance. Like, this is what just happened. Let's do it. Let's get my kids back. And he was like, mm-mm. The situation was not what I thought it was good
Right.
enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I left crying. I mean, I was just bawling my eyes out in my car, driving, about to get on the interstate. The sun was, looking straight at me. And when I noticed the light of that sun, I felt a message that said, "No, no, don't cry. Hold on. It's not, this would have been good, but I have something better."
Mm.
Like there
Wow.
was just this, and I was calm. I was instantly calm.
Wow.
I was like, oh, and I trusted that. I totally trusted that voice.
Wow.
And I came home and I told JL what had happened. And I said, but you know what? It's okay. Like some things. And 30 days later, it came. It came. I
Wow.
kid you not. Like, and it was basically like, it was almost a situation where it's like, hey, come get your kids. Like, and I just was just beside myself. But the timing could not have been perfect. You know, we had space now. We had a house, we had space, we had bedrooms. I had just got like a promotion at work or something. I was stepping into a different role. I could afford, I could afford to have my children all the time.
Yes.
Had been doing art, shows here and there. So, and during that time, all this time from that apartment to this now time, what was happening in between those times is I was creating. When my kids would come over here, they were creating. The
Mhm.
stress of a broken family was being lifted for them
Mhm.
because I gave them a space to not worry, to be creative, to
Yes.
express themselves,
Yes.
and so with them, what I saw when I would pick them up, they would be grumpy and they would be, just, they're dealing with mom and dad's, thing. And where they were was making it really ugly. It was a stressful place. But I was
Yes.
giving them something different and something magical
Yes.
and something
Yes.
we were creating. I knew that I had to create a life that was of some good substance for them when they came back.
Mhm.
I wanted to
Yeah.
bring them into the life that I foresaw, that we deserved to have and that they
Well,
deserved.
and it's like you reclaiming the life that you forgot, and
Yes,
you're bringing that life that you were, who you were, into their lives now, and making it a priority, and hopefully making it an energy that they will continue on their own journey with and not forget,
absolutely.
right?
Yes.
So that's incredible. So you've been painting and painting and painting, but I also now know that now you are like coaching and you're wanting to teach and share the wisdom of, well, I call them the healing arts, because it's not necessarily whether you sell it or not. I mean, you're
Right.
starting to sell your art and doing all sorts of incredible things, but the journey of the artist is not about selling.
No.
It's about
And
expression. So talk to me
yes,
about that.
yes. So I'll start it off with this because I think this is funny. Um, when JL and I got back together, right? Because I went to the small apartment, then after we broke up, and then we ended up getting back together 2 years later. Um, when and of course, when we broke up, that's when I started painting.
Yes.
And he was like, "Well, when did you
Who are
start
you and what is
paint?
it?
Yeah, like who are you? What are you doing? Well, there's a lot you don't know about me, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he said when I was moving back in, we're hauling in all my paintings and, my apartment was just full of art things and we're moving everything in. And he says to me, well, you can keep painting just as long as as long as you're I think I said, or I may have said like, I'll always paint or something like that. And his comment was kind of like, well, as long as you're making money doing it, then, and I was like, okay, stop right here. Let me explain something to you.
Awesome.
Like,
Yes.
I will never stop painting, even if it costs me money.
Yes.
So, are we okay with that? Because if we're not, then this is a deal breaker.
Yes.
And that was a lot for me to be like, mm-mm, I'm not giving this up. I'm not
Right.
giving me up. I've gave me up
Right.
so many times. I'm
Mhm.
not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's a deal breaker, dude.
Deal breaker. Yeah, it's a deal breaker. Sorry. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, I get it. He wasn't, I don't think he really thought about it when he's, what
Yes.
he's, or I think maybe he was confused. He didn't know. He didn't know why I was, because one, I was going to shows and selling art, and, I was making money. So for him, I guess he just thought that,
It would
this,
continue, and yeah.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is, it's gonna be your job.
Yeah.
But it's an inside job more than it's anything else, anything else at all.
Yes.
Um, so yes, definitely it's about the journey of the art. It's about what my art reveals to me about me, where it shows me to go. When I am doing an intuitive art piece, I don't put thought into it.
Mhm.
Or, it's a practice that stills the mind and brings you to a present moment and allows your inner guidance to come out, your inner voice, that voice that you can't put words into,
Yes.
because as human beings, we have these minds that are only a fraction of what we are,
Mhm.
right? They're your thoughts, but below that, deep down in there, that's your spirit in
Yes.
there. And your spirit doesn't communicate through only your brain, you
Yes.
know. So you have to go a little deeper,
Yes.
and to draw that out. And art is a way to communicate with that.
Yes.
And so for me, with when I need guidance, when I need to clear my thoughts, when I need, you know, y- I coach people through, moments where they can't. I get a lot of people that say, I'm trying to think of the solution. I
Uh-huh.
can't, I've thought about it and I've thought about it, and I can't seem to think up why this is happening, or I can't seem to think up the solution, because sometimes you can't think the solution. It's not about thought. It's because it's going a little deeper than that.
Yes.
Something else is trying to communicate with you,
Yes.
and you're on the wrong channel,
Yes.
and you have to put yourself on the correct channel to get that, you know to get a clear message for that. And so one of the ways to do that, is through intuitive art.
And so, are you teaching people how to do this now? Do you have like one-on-one consultation or clients, or are you doing it in group type of scenarios? How are you sharing this at this point?
Yeah. So right now, I have my coaching that I do into just my coaching, and I will give them. So I've given them like assignments to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had our coaching sessions over Zoom through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Recently though, like you and I were talking about yesterday, when I was saying I wanted to, expand those specific offerings, because sometimes people don't want like the whole coaching package. They don't want all of that. So I did want to offer something that's just focused on that art, because sometimes it can be one experience that you have that really just pushes you in another direction. And
Yes.
I wanted to be able to offer that to people. So I do have like two classes right now, um, that are being offered. One is a art for anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and one is art for productivity.
Mm-hmm.
So I have those, and then I do, just the regular my art therapy assignments through my coaching.
Coaching. So, yes, awesome, wonderful. So let's talk about we talked a little bit about finances and money and flow yesterday, and one of the things that I've learned myself, because I don't have children, uh, I have a little bit more sense of freedom in my ability to be maybe more of a risk taker than some. When I left the corporate realm, I had some money in the bank and a 401k and some, resources that I could tap into. But let's talk about how you're managing your life with your kids and with
Sure.
everything, and what kinds of things you would tell people who are chomping at the bit to find themselves and reclaim themselves and have the responsibility of being a parent. I think it's important.
Yeah, so this is actually really super important. um, so mainly, and when I first started painting, I was, I think we covered pretty broke, right? Like I was really strapped for cash. This was not, a pretty situation. But I found value in it, and I knew that it was important. I knew that, there's the price of something, and then there's the value of it. The value of it was very high.
Yeah.
Now, so my philosophy was do what you can, when you can, with what you have,
Mm-hmm.
and just keep doing that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Uh, so obviously don't spend your grocery money on art supplies. That's not smart because you have to feed your children.
Yes.
Okay. So when we talk about risk and we talk about, having to financially plan for the responsibility to your family, and also, affording your, your hobby, or
Creative
your
outlets.
creative outlets,
Mm-hmm.
you have to find balance. So
Mm-hmm.
there just has to be a balance. Now you may reach a moment, where cash is really strapped and you cannot, and you people feel like I don't have the resources. That's okay right now. Just be with your family.
Yes.
That's part of the journey.
Yes.
That's okay. Do what you can when you can with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, there are so many ways, affordable ways to, bring creativity into your life. So play with those things when you can. You have to be practical. And then when you do have the opportunity, because you will, as long as you're pursuing this, because like we talked about, when you make a decision to get on this journey on your path, along that path, opportunities come, but they're only coming when you're on the path.
Yes.
They don't show up on the dark path.
Right.
You can't see them. There's no light there. So you
Yes.
have to be on the path of the light to see the opportunities that are there.
Yes.
So if you're there, they'll present themselves. And just you'll have to learn that those times when you don't have the material or the money to do something grand, you have time to connect with your family, and even like in that connection, you can draw inspiration from that to be present in life. um
Well, there's something else that's sort of popping up in my mind that, it's like when you're on the journey and on the path, you're open to new possibilities. And like you could go out in nature and make art out of a mandala art out of flowers and
you
twigs
don't
and
need
leaves.
money. Yeah.
You don't need money. Rocks, do
Yes,
cairns, those stacked rocks.
we
There's
did
so
a lot of that.
right? You can do with nature that will be an expressive part of you
Hmm.
and teach your children at the same time,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So,
yes.
so the other thing I was saying was that, so oftentimes women come and they're around me and they get their drum and they're like get their voice and then they just want to leave their relationship. They want to move on and they're strong and I'm empowered and he's not listening to me and blah 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 blah. And I get that too. I mean, especially if you're in an
Sure.
abusive relationship, you don't need to stay if you're in a physical,
Right.
right? But
Yes.
the sort of the everyday challenges of marriage, which there are lots of them,
Yes.
are
Yes.
learning grounds for our soul, right?
Hmm.
So I wanted to go back to kind of sort of a sidetrack, but stability. Part of being a parent is providing a safe place for your children to grow up in and feel nurtured in
Yes.
and safe in. And
Yes.
so people need to find a balanced approach.
Yes.
They can't jump off the ledge like I did they can't.
Right. Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
maybe, and that time will come for them. Everybody, it
Exactly.
looks different for so many people.
Exactly. And though, like last year and the recent years, you started creating some, like your creations have become like exponentially wild and cosmic and awesome. And you're selling lots of stuff. So
Yeah.
more income is coming in as
Yes.
you're balancing and continuing to
Yeah.
energize your creativity.
Yeah.
And
Because it can,
and I was saying your children are seeing you do that,
yes.
which is awesome.
Yes. And I think that that is such an important aspect when you're a parent. Um, I, and I just spoke to a young mom about this a couple weeks ago, where she wasn't doing anything for herself. She has several children and, just so much time, but her daughters are adolescents. And, one is in high school, one is a little younger than that. So they're very much paying attention. And and when you're a mother, to daughters, they're naturally watching you, and you can tell them, hey, chase your dreams. You can tell them, do something that makes you happy, and I hear a lot of parents talk about, well, I want them to, be in things that they love to do, and I want them in sports, and I want them to do something, something, and they're taking their children to soccer, and they're taking their children to art class and guitar class, but they're not doing the same thing for themselves.
Yeah.
So you almost send a message to your children, those are childlike activities. Adults don't do that.
Yes.
Because, we don't do, when you're adult, everything is serious.
Right.
And you don't, that's, those things are for children. So when they grow up into an adult, they detach from those things because those things are for children. I didn't see my mother do them.
Right.
How different would it be if if you taught your daughters, by example?
Yes.
It's totally different.
Yes.
They're gonna they hear what you're saying, but they also see what you're not doing.
Right.
So in a way, you can teach them to sacrifice themselves and the things that they love, or you can show them that they can have both, and that themselves are important, and they need to take time, and their voice is important, and who they are is important, and they are worthy of pursuing the things that make them happy.
Yes.
By doing that yourself.
Yes.
That's a gift that you can give them. So sometimes you have to do it, and it's partly why I kept doing it. Sometimes I remember moments when I kind of wanted to just really give up. Like I just, things happen, and you get, your head gets a little cloudy, and, times get dark, and it feels really discouraging. And then you remember, if I take this away, if I stop this, it's going to change the lives of my children.
Yes.
They're going, what are they going to have if I don't bring this joy in?
Yes.
And so it's very important to let your children watch you pursue the things that make you happy.
That's awesome.
Because their own you're telling them that it's important. Their happiness is important.
So the thought of worthiness comes up, being worthy and worth. What is my worth? So
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit briefly about how you came to know, or how do you determine how much your art is worth that you're willing to sell? Let's just say willing to sell.
Right.
It's going to become, some of these are babies and they're never, going to leave until they put you in a
for
coffin,
sure.
or, cremate you, right? And then
absolutely. I've went back and looked at some of my art that I've priced before, and I'm like, what? No, I'm not selling that for that. What am I thinking? No, of course not. What? Yeah. No, yeah. I would be heartbroken. I would, and that's probably it, part of it.
So that's a challenge for a lot of people, as to what do I price?
What do I price it at?
When I've never tried it, but people are saying I want to buy that, and what are your thoughts?
It's a price that you're comfortable with. How much time did you put on it? Or spend on it? Yes. What does it mean to you?
Yes.
I would hope that you're making meaningful art in some way. What does it mean to you?
Yes.
And are you comfortable letting it, are you going to regret it? If you sell it for that, if that's the amount of money that you get for that, are you going to regret that? Is it worth more to you on your wall than the price that you have to understand. I mean, and that's subjective. That's going to be, coming from you. Only you can, determine that, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, even though I've been now painting, at some level, I've looked at some old, Facebook is really cool for that, is bringing up the memories of,
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
far enough. And it's literally 11 years since I did this painting called Balance that I reposted on my Facebook page today. And looking back, that painting has so much significance as the birthing of my journey to reclaiming the divine feminine, and the balance of masculine and the tree of life, and all of the things are contained in this painting that
Mm.
spirit just inspired me to paint. But it was while I was still in the corporate realm, and I didn't even think I was thinking in that way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
right. And I just like so um it's
Mm.
so personal.
Mhm.
For me, so many of my paintings are so personal, it's still very difficult for me to even fathom selling them.
Yes.
So I'm still on that journey of like, what would I be willing to let go of?
Yeah.
And so
And some of it, it's like, if you're, you know, you have to know that someone can appreciate it the way that you appreciate it, you know.
yes.
And if
Yes.
they do, then I don't think that they would have a problem with the price that you put on it. And
Yeah.
if they don't, one, it's not their piece then, right? Like it doesn't
Right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't belong to them.
Yes.
And I have always felt like my pieces have always gone exactly where they were supposed to go. That includes things that I've given away. Like it's just, or, expensive. Like that is exactly where it belongs.
Yes.
It, it's,
So let's
yeah.
let's you have some things around you, and I wanted to give you a few moments to share some pieces, and just tell us about some things. So
Yeah.
what do you feel moved to share with us?
Sure. So I brought some out on purpose.
Yes.
Um, the, this one right here behind me
Yes.
specifically, because
Yes.
I feel like this is important.
Mhm.
Um, And I was thinking about this last night, and it's so funny that well, with my marker in my hand, this morning when you posted that it's been 11 years since you painted your balance
Yes.
painting.
Yes.
This last night, I
Yes.
realized, so I was I was thinking about that. Well, that I saw in the morning. The previous night, I was lying in bed and just kind of thinking, because I had just, gave, a synopsis of my life, and my journey with
Yes.
you previously. So it was fresh on my mind. And it occurred to me that it was this July, it will be 11 years since, I left that very toxic relationship and really
Wow.
started over. It will be
Wow.
11 years. And this was painted almost like 10 years, right? A little 10 and a half years, something like that.
Oh my God.
And when I thought about that painting, when I saw it, so what happened was I realized it had been, it will be coming up on 11 years. Then the next morning, I saw your post where you said it's been 11 years. And I was like, oh, wow, that's weird. Okay. That's crazy. And then I walked in my studio and I was like, wait a minute. That was me almost 11 years ago, staring out my kitchen, not knowing what I was looking at. It was only a feeling. Now, 11 years later, I followed that feeling and I followed that feeling. And this painting, in this one, she's looking into the light like I was 11 years ago,
Yes.
but she knows where she's going.
Yes.
she, not completely, but she knows that she's following something. She knows there's a reason. She has a purpose. It's so much good stuff. It's
Yeah.
more defined, and it's like, oh my gosh, wow, so much has happened in 11 years, and it would be 11. It was just
11,
like,
11, 11, 13, 11,
yeah,
11.
it was just all full circle,
Yes.
right? So it
And it
doesn't even
is.
stop. It doesn't even stop there, like with the connections. And I went to do just a test for my video, and I'm looking,
Yes.
and I started, and I said, wow, full circle. Then I noticed there's circles everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
There's a painting down here also that's got some spiraling circles. And
Yes.
as I'm telling you that, I'm looking and I see your drums, and like I can see like so many circles. And it's
Yes.
just like, wow, what a full circle.
Wow.
What a beautiful cycle it's been.
Well, and
And
today is the new moon in
I
Pisces,
know, I
right?
know. Yeah, it's so much. And I feel it. I feel it, so much good stuff. It's just amazing. And I can see that through my art. And I started to think about all of the self-portraits that I've done over here. Not necessarily self-portraits, but the intuitive art that I've created that has given me messages to follow this light that has led me into a purpose that is defined for me, and it's just it's almost indescribable because it's just so amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the whole world.
Right.
But
And
this piece right here is just,
oh
ooh,
yeah, and I am totally drawn into that piece on so many different levels, not knowing when you painted it on your journey.
yeah.
The arrows of
Hmm.
truth.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
arrow, the to me, I saw the drum in that. In the other picture that I posted with the promo, it's like she's holding that circle.
Yes,
She knows that circle's important. And
yes.
the circle, the spiral, the moon, the
Hmm.
wave, the water wave is
Yes,
in that
yes,
energy, right?
yes,
I'm chilly
yes,
bumping all over the place. Like
yeah.
your soul knew exactly what was going on.
You know what's funny though? I didn't.
I
When
know
I
you didn't.
when I was painting that,
Oh
it
yeah.
was I was painting. Actually, I was painting mountains in a cave. That's what that's what I was seeing, and then it
Yes.
turned into her. She
Yes.
appeared,
Yes.
and then the bow and arrow appeared,
Yes.
and then her. She's holding in her hand. You see red. You also see red down at the bottom.
Yes.
What she's holding is her assignment.
Oh.
That's sacred. That it's almost pain, but it's energy, and she uses
Hey, Melody, real quickly, when you
it.
shift this way, your audio goes out.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go. You didn't know that, but now
I
you do.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it starts to, yeah. So just try and stay, yeah, not too
Yeah.
far that way.
So
Okay.
she's holding, in her hand
Her assignment.
her assignment. The pain, actually, it's the pain of her assignment, but she
Yes.
holds it in a way to use it for her purpose. It's sacred.
Yes.
It is sacred to her.
Yes.
And so,
And she's facing the unknown. So much of our
yes,
journey
yes,
is stepping into the unknown with courage,
yes,
not
yes.
knowing where we're going.
Yes, and she's looking. There's no place to find, but it's just a light, and she will follow it. And
Yes.
she is committed to following it.
That is sacred. That one doesn't get sold until you
Right? Oh my gosh. I
right.
don't know. Yeah.
It's $1 million. You're willing to
Yeah,
spend,
it's $1 million.
right? It's
I
$1
just,
million.
yeah. It's so deep. It's so
Yes.
meaningful
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I sold a print to a woman who just really, it resonated with her a lot, and I can see it in her journey, like where she's at. And then she's she's been talking to people about chase your dreams, follow your heart. She's been on that path, and then that really resonated with her. She just always like, I just love this. I love it so much. And I know why you love it, and so now she's got one in her camper, and so they travel, her and her husband travel a lot, and she can look at it all the time. And I know that that's valuable to her.
Yes.
She truly understands that piece.
Yes.
And
Gorgeous. Thank you so much for taking that time to share that. That's amazing. So amazing. So, what else do you want to share with us today? And again, remember to be in the center if you can.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep doing that. Like I wish I had more of my portraiture pieces, because I think those kind of tell a story. And they were really interesting as far as intuitive art goes and the messages that kind of come through with that. But I have you can't quite see it.
On your post this morning, there's some of your sort of like like multi-dimensional collage-esque pieces. You took a picture back by the woman with the green hair. Like those pieces down below.
Yeah. Those are, so yeah, I do just abstract collages.
Yes.
And that is just for, just a calming, we do that for to still the mind and just let those creative juices come out. We don't assign it any kind of purpose. We just go with it and let it flow.
And that's part of your coaching process.
Absolutely. So, and that teaches you, through even in life, to mimic that. Things aren't always going to go as planned. Sometimes it's not going to look the way that we thought that it was going to look, or, life's going to take some unexpected turns, and it's up to us to make something out of that, to find meaning in that, to find the beauty in it. And so then that requires sometimes going with the flow and making some changes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Adjust, be creative, at the same way that you can be creative on paper, you can be creative in your life. We are problem solvers. We are survivors. And we have it within us.
There are so many choices. And
yes.
Yet our brain plays really shitty tricks on us, saying
absolutely
this. And you might be able to go A and B, but the fact that there's C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, like,
and you can't see them because
you're too, tunnel vision.
Too in your head.
Expand. Yeah. I remember when you were talking yesterday about going deeper, and when you were talking about going deeper, it was almost as if going deeper opens up the celestial realms within you.
Yes.
Like that deeper is the path into the unknown, into those sparkly nuggets that are right, that are hanging out in there that we're not paying attention because we've been so entrained with the brain. So yes. I wanted to give that visual for people too. The idea that you're going within to see the cosmos within you.
In you. Yes. Yeah. And that was just a major breakthrough, just in my journey with art, was that I no longer felt a part of the universe. I had the whole universe inside me, which means I had every possibility, so many possibilities, so many different, options and things, to just so much, it was endless. I felt endless, and there is just such a freedom and a sweetness in realizing that and feeling that and being able to carry that around. It will change you.
Yes. The other thing that's coming to my mind and that you helped me tap into is when you talked about yesterday, that people saw you. Oh, you're an artist. I get it. So I think there's a part of me that hasn't really truly owned that within myself, even though like people see me like going art, like I do it, but it's like I'm not owning that aspect of me in a deeper way. And it's because we as artists are trailblazers.
Yeah.
We are not working in the same realms as most of humanity.
Yes.
And so that makes us feel odd and weird
Yes.
and cray cray.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Can you
said,
speak to that, please?
yeah, sure. Because, I still work a job where, we're run by corporate, it's a corporately owned business. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of, the corporate stuff, you know, meet your metrics, numbers and sales, and which is fine because it's in a cafe and I love food. I have a connection with
And
food
and
and serving people.
and it supports your family back to that.
Absolutely.
Like have a stable money thing coming in.
Yes.
Mhm.
However, but my creativity does set me apart in
Yeah.
ways that you know, I'm very different. Uh, the other day, even my language is different, right? The
Mhm.
other day, I was saying something about human beings, and one of my coworkers looked at me and they said, "That's a weird way to refer to a person." And I thought, well,
No,
that's
it's
not a
not.
weird way at all to refer to a person. That's what we are. Like, so I do find myself often using terms that are, that are a little deeper. It's just, a part of my everyday language. It's
Yeah.
just the way that I see things. My vision is different.
Yes.
Um, so
Hallelujah.
yeah,
Hallelujah.
yeah. I would not trade it. I definitely
Yes.
wouldn't. But it is different. It's different.
Can you share with us some of your new acrylic work that you've been doing? Do you have anything around you that you could show of that?
The resin work.
Yes.
Oh man, you know what? I didn't even take that out, but I totally can because it's right underneath this table.
Okay.
Um, ew,
Because
yeah,
this is
yeah.
like taking the cosmos within you and going like, look, everybody, everything can be brilliant and shiny and beautiful
Do
and
whatever
sparkly.
you,
Yes,
yes,
and
absolutely.
sparkly.
So I'll show these two actually art pieces that I
Yes.
did. They're
Okay.
resin,
Yes.
and
Oh.
I'm not like.
Yes. I know it's hard to like show the true, but just doing that, you can see the sparkles gorgeous. Yes. And remember, move over to the center a little bit more.
Oh,
So your voice,
there you
there you
go.
go. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Perfect.
this piece, uh, oof, all the
Oh,
lights glaring, but
that's okay.
I did this. It's so rich, and I love the texture of these.
Yes.
They're just, man, when you look at them, they have so much depth. But this one was very womanly to me. It's like
Woomy, woomy.
very woomy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my aunt commented, it reminds her of womanhood,
Yeah.
and it was just like, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Um, but I love the depth of what this resin does.
Yes.
It's just the colors are so rich, and when I create these pieces, I never know what I'm going to get, and I love that because it flows in a way, but it flows with a thickness. It's almost, it's very different than water
Yes.
color.
Yes.
Even though still water based, but it's thick, so it goes slower, and it
Oh my gosh. That
mixes
must be
differently.
so fun to watch move when it's happening.
Yeah, I have a really
I
good
need to
time.
say that a coyote or a fox I looked that way, coyote or fox. Probably coyote just ran across the backyard there. So
Nice.
we'll look that medicine up a little bit later.
Nice. Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Yes, do that. Yeah. So so the reason I chose to show this is because I have a lot of good, exciting art pieces in the works coming.
Oh.
And it's right after this, what I feel has been a cycle for me and a shift. And I notice this every now and then, as I'm sure you're, experienced at that as well, just those cycles. And so it's time for something new, but
Yes.
I'm very excited. So yeah, people can definitely watch for that. those will be big, literally. So I'm very excited
Awesome.
about those. Yeah.
So during the holiday season, though, you did a lot of jewelry and a lot of things, and
Yeah.
dice. I love the dice. And
I
then the like, tell me about the knuckle. What do you call that thing
Yeah,
again? What
so
is it?
they're like, so you know what brass knuckles are, right?
Yes.
Okay, so remember the story about me carrying knives around and
Yes.
always. Okay, so I did take that armor off, right, as far as what I carried inside of me.
Yes.
However, we do live in a world where there is violence,
Yes.
and especially against women.
Yes.
I don't want to discount males either. So there's just violence in the world.
Yes.
And so to me, now they're not actual weapons. Like you probably could, because it's resin and it's really hard. You can defend yourself with it, but it's just kind of a symbol that, hey, I see,
Yeah.
we see what's happening. We see where you're having to be vulnerable, and, it's important to protect yourself. That just having that awareness around that, especially with the Me Too movement and my personal experiences, my family's personal experiences, is very important to me that people understand that they're worthy of being protected and that they can have that power to be protected. And so they were just kind of a fun piece to create, but they came from a very real place.
Yes. And I love the juxtaposition of the things, like you're creating things that people can use in their kitchen to be a lovely host,
Art
to
should be
adorn
everywhere.
themselves, right? To roll the dice of life, right? The numbers,
Yes.
we get to
Yes.
play with the numbers.
Yes.
I just had this visual, like I'm all about the altar thing. I have altars everywhere in our house, from rock formations to crystals and all different types of things. And I totally can see that on my altar as a
Nice. Yeah.
symbol of my power, of
Mm-hmm.
reminding me of my
Mm-hmm.
power,
Mm-hmm.
especially because we wear it on our hands.
Yeah.
The idea that your hands
It is.
are
Yes.
powerful.
Yes.
The energy, we're
Yes.
learning so much more, the power of our own energy,
Energy.
sovereignty, right?
Yes.
Reiki, like we all have it.
Yes.
We all need to
Yes.
activate it.
We
I
can
can,
tap
like
into that.
Wonder Woman, like put your things on and go like, yes.
Yes. Put
powerful.
your foot down, make your stance. You have it within you. Absolutely.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So your art, your expression, everything about you, Melody, just resonates with me so much. And I want to have you let people know where to find you. Now, there's you have a lot of different points of contact, but you had indicated that Garden of Meeden is the place you want to send people to. So tell us about Garden of Meeden.
So Garden of Meeden was created last year, after I realized that, I wanted to share the power of transformation with other people. And that came after just, watching and seeing so many people suffering needlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't like great. I mean, and I'm not talking like starvation suffering. It's just those, going through a divorce, having, wanting to make a change in your life and you don't know how, don't know why, or you're too afraid. A lot of people are just scared.
Yes.
So scared of change, or they don't know what's wrong. All these things keep happening in their life, going wrong, one after another, and they feel like, it's hopeless. Like it's just a hopeless situation.
Yeah.
Even though they know that they can, that they don't understand that, why is my life like this? Why are these things happening? Right. And you want something better. People want better. You just don't know how.
Right.
And so I saw that there was a need there. There's a need, to have people, to offer that guidance and that support. And I've been there, and I've been through that transformation. I've felt that pain. I
Yes.
know what it's like to have a life that implodes, explodes, just all the things,
Mm.
so much pain, so much suffering, crying, alone, begging, God, what? I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. Just having, no money, even financial stress, just so many things can imprison us.
Yes.
And we can set ourselves free and we don't realize it. And
Yes.
so I wanted to be able to offer the way to set yourself free to people. I want to give that guidance. I want to give that support. I've helped a lot of people through a lot of different, scenarios in their life, and I've seen the changes, dramatic changes. I know that it's helpful. It will help you. It just, we can make some really awesome changes. I know what it feels like, and I want to give that to people. And
I,
so,
I became really, really clear in my journey, in my spiritual journey, that it's all of the challenges, the bad things that we've experienced that develop a deeper sense of empathy and compassion and realness. It's like it's so important when people are looking for their path to just look at their own life and what they've
yes,
experienced and be there to serve the people who are having to go through what you went through.
yes,
If I try to be something for someone that I have no experience with,
that's, yeah,
it's not as real.
right.
Let me give you an example. I haven't had babies in this lifetime, but trust me, in past lifetimes I've had more than I know the thing.
Yeah.
I know taking care of like a lot of children, like, right. I did that before. I'm not doing it this year, this time. This year, maybe next year. I don't know. Anyway, but, I am going into the birthing and doula world
Yeah,
with
I saw
raindrop
that.
wisdom, right?
Right.
And I'm doing that in partnership with a woman who is a doula, who knows, whose spirit said, find the drum. And within
Mm,
days, she connected
mm,
with me. And
mm.
so it's together. I can bring the wisdom. She can
Yes.
bring the application.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I do not profess to know what it's like to push a baby out, and have that. I
Mm.
can only I can imagine. I know about the power of creation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So that's one example. The other thing for me is alcoholism, substance abuse, ancestral patterns,
Yes.
Black Lives Matter, white co-conspirator. I have biracial, family members very concerned about that. Had my own experiences growing up that informed me about that, being held up at gunpoint, being choked, I have real
Yes.
life scenarios that I know are part of the purpose and plan for my life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
instead of now seeing them as, oh, horrible, 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 no, those experiences informed me so that I could become the truth
Mm.
of who I came here to be on planet Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Garden of Eden, hello, like
Yeah.
reclaiming Eden,
Yes.
retelling the story,
Yes.
bringing her story into the Eden,
Yes.
bringing
Yes.
heaven
Your
on.
own
Yes,
Eden.
yes,
Yes. The
yes.
Eden that is within you. And your Eden looks different than anyone else's Eden. It is, we all have our own garden, that we are our own, and we can grow, in ways that are completely unique to us. We don't grow
Yes.
like everyone else. And
Right.
we're not the same seed, either. And so to give people a space to really crack open their seed and not try to tell them what seed they are or where, how to grow. That's where my guidance comes in. I want to see people's unique expression. I want to see who they truly are. So to give them the guidance and the space to figure that out, and to guide them. So coaching for me is not trying to coach you in a, specific, I'm not going to try to turn somebody into an artist. You might not be an artist, but you are someone unique to yourself. And that's what I want to see. That's what the world needs to see. That can impact the world, that can bring more peace, that can, solve suffering or ease suffering, when everyone can express themselves and show up as they are. So for me, my coaching is just giving people the space and the guidance and the support to do that.
Beautiful. Well, I'm so honored and grateful for you on the planet at this time. Truly, this idea of showcasing human beings who are kind of behind the scenes. We're in everyday life. There's so many of us out there doing the work, but people aren't shining the light on us. And we have a difficult time shining the light on ourselves. And I just
because we're trying to go shine it on other people.
Right.
From the inside, you're going around trying to flip everyone's light switch on inside.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that reflection too. I wish you such abundance, and what I know also is as we step into our true path, we become a magnet. We become a magnet for those who need the unique way we deliver our medicine.
Yes. And I'll tell you just really quick. I was listening to a coach back when I was working on my coaching certification. It was a lecture, and a woman had been a part of a lot of a coaching retreat where the Dalai Lama was present. And the Dalai Lama was speaking for a while, and then they broke for lunch, and she was in a lunch line with someone else. And she said something, and the guy said, the person standing next to her said, "Oh my gosh, I never thought about it like that." And she said, "Well, I just repeated what the Dalai Lama said. He just said it." And he said, "I didn't hear it when the Dalai Lama said it. I heard it when you said it, though."
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, that right there highlight, we can feel so insignificant sometimes, or feel like, well, there's other people doing it. They don't need me to participate. I felt like that a long time. Like, there's so many people. Who am I who am I not to?
Right.
And who knows who my people are? I've had, there are people who are going to resonate with me and not resonate with someone else.
Yes.
You have to find those people. If you can help, then, you definitely have a place and a voice at the table.
Right. It's the timing and the receptivity of the person in front of you.
Yes. Yeah. And you don't know, you don't know.
Yes. And also the reflection too. It's like, make sure you're paying attention, that you're listening as that guidance is being given to you.
It's being given. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, Melody, thank you so much. Even though we had technical difficulties yesterday, I think it was perfectly ordained for it to be this way.
Sure.
And I appreciate you. I honor you, and I wish you nothing but the best as you continue to shine a light and bring forth all of your gifts into the world, and be a shining example for your children, and rippling out just the goodness that is possible here on planet Earth. So.
And same to you. Thank you.
Yes, to all the human beings out there. All the human beings.
Yes.
We are
everyone.
Beings. We are not human doings. We are human beings.
Human beings. Yes. Yes.
Have a beautiful day. Thank you to everyone who hears this message, who takes the time to listen to our conversation and is inspired to awaken themselves and create and hopefully use art as a way, whatever expression of art, whatever feels creative to you, to bring forth the truth of who you really are.